You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's June the 22nd, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Education News, your Psychedelics and Cannabis news source here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Good morning, Glenn. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Al. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad, I must say. Outside.
You have sunlight there.
Got sunlight for sure. I sure do. You know, it's a little bit in my eyes. So hopefully I can see the screen all right. And I know, people might have a little bit of problem seeing me, but you can see my shirt, so you know I'm here anyways. Just so everybody knows, Cindy is off today. She's dealing with plumbing issues and waiting on a plumber. So I'm here to fill in and help Glenn out with the news.
Yeah, hope she gets that settled with today.
Yeah, oh yeah, yes. The plumbing issues sometimes can be a real pain in the butt. I know that. Yeah, and messy.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't like about it.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. The cleanup afterwards is never fun.
Smells don't go good with it either.
Yeah, I see you're in the new home.
Yes, I am. I'm in the garage right now, in my shop. So you'll see some stuff behind me that's getting built.
Good. Back in Canada?
Yes, I am.
Good stuff.
I'm not loving this cold weather. It's supposed to be warm today, but it was like 12 degrees last night. It's the end of June and it's 12. I don't know what's going on here.
You haven't seen 12 since you left to go.
No.
Before you left to go down there.
The last month we were there, the average temperature was around 39. And then we come here and I had 6 degrees one night.
Oh,
freezing. I'm freezing and my tan is flying away as we speak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. What do you say? Time to get on with the news?
Okay.
All righty. First up, we got Ontario looking at cannabis marketing rules and window covering requirements for cannabis stores. This comes to us from StratCan.
The Ontario Cannabis Regulator is launching a consultation on window coverings in cannabis stores, as well as advertising and promotion of cannabis. The AGCO, which is the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, is responsible for regulating Ontario's alcohol, gaming, and horse racing sectors and cannabis retail stores, is looking to gather feedback on 2 revisions to the province's cannabis rules.
Yeah, the first revision relates to the visibility of cannabis and cannabis accessories from the exterior of stores, while the second relates to inducements for customers to purchase cannabis. Specifically, the provincial regulator is asking for feedback on 2 rules in Ontario's standards for cannabis retail stores.
The first is a rule that says cannabis stores must ensure that cannabis and accessories are not visible from the exterior of the premises. The second deals with an existing rule that prevents retailers from giving out free cannabis or providing incentives to purchase cannabis or cannabis accessories. That sounds completely opposite of what they do with alcohol.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, the proposed changes to the first rule change would mean the elimination of any provincial requirements related to visibility of cannabis or cannabis accessories from the exterior of the stores. That way, when people walk by the stores, they could look in and they could see the cannabis, or they could see the pictures and photos, whatever is there.
They could also see if they might be getting robbed or if there's something happening.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue there, right there for me. Now, the proposed changes to the second rule would mean the Ontario's regulatory framework would no longer specifically prohibit retailers from offering loyalty programs based on sales or cannabis or accessories, free delivery related to the purchase amount, or other things or benefits in exchange for purchasing cannabis or accessories, assuming compliance with all other regulatory requirements. Retailers will continue to be prohibited from offering cannabis to patrons free of charge. So they won't be able to say, buy two of this pre rolls and you'll get this pre roll for free. They can't do that.
Yep. I don't know exactly how that's working because I was in a dispensary in Ontario a couple of weeks ago, and they're offering 15% off if you sign up for their loyalty program.
Yeah, it's a discount, but it's not free.
That's kind of the same thing. I know it's not actually free, but it is an inducement.
Yeah, it is an inducement. Yeah.
Okay, the current law, we're dealing with visibility from exterior of the store. And it says licensees must ensure that cannabis and accessories are not visible from the exterior of the premises.
Oh, yeah, that's the way the present rules are. Yeah, slide down lower, down to where it says the AGCO will be collecting feedback. That's just a picture of what the rules are now.
The AGCO will be collecting feedback from relevant stakeholders until July 11th through its engagement portal. A notice is being sent out to retailers and other stakeholders at the end of the day on June 20th. In 2022, Alberta changed its rules that had previously required cannabis retailers to cover windows to prevent minors from seeing inside the stores. BC followed suit earlier this year.
Yep. The AGCO also has a call for proposals for a cannabis retail employee training program and is accepting applications until September the 1st, 2023. Through this process, up to 2 programs in addition to the province's current can sell program can be approved by the AGCO board for a 5-year term. So training. So there you go.
And that'll start.
So hopefully they remove those that window covering. That's got to come off, man.
Yeah, it was a stupid law in the beginning, and it's always the excuse they use for everything to protect the kids.
Protect the children.
Yes.
Yeah.
It never had anything to do with that. Never.
No. It was continuing the stigma. It's got to be gone. It's a safety issue right from day one.
It is. It is definitely.
All right. On to the next story. Headline there says Ottawa Public Health wants more restrictions placed on cannabis products packaging to keep kids safe. And this comes to us from the Ottawa Citizen.
Ottawa Public Health wants to see tighter restrictions placed on cannabis products and their packaging to lessen their appeal to children. Changes aimed at reducing accidental poisonings and use of cannabis products by kids are among the recommendations OPH is making to the federal government as part of consultations on potential amendments to cannabis legislation.
Citing research showing that accidental poisoning of Canadian children is on the rise, OPH is recommending the words candy and candies be banned from the packaging of cannabis products and that shapes, sparkles, and colors that may appeal to children also be banned. First question, how many 1-year-olds or 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds can read candy in the word candies?
Yeah. I think the colorful...
Well, I understand a 7-year-old could read it, sure.
Yeah.
Current federal regulations already include steps to limit the appeal of cannabis products to youth through plain packaging and labeling requirements, but OPH wants them to go further. Boy, people are complaining about them now, and they want to adjust them even more.
Yeah. OPH is additionally recommending there be a maximum density for the number of physical retail stores allowed to open, noting that there are approximately 118 cannabis storefront locations in Ottawa. The city itself has no ability to control density. OPH also wants other changes aimed at reducing potential harm or unintended consequences from cannabis products, among them. I just got to say something about this density requirements. it tends to level itself out. If 118 is too many stores, there won't be 118 next year. If
Yeah,
118 is too little stores, there'll be more next year. That's the
yeah.
way to work this out.
Market will dictate
Yep.
things exactly. Now, those recommendations, they say among them, including not for kids and health warning statements, prohibiting any product that resembles or mimics familiar food items or is associated with well-known brand of food or candy that could appeal to children, such as gummy bears or lollipops, prohibiting the use of flavoring agents in cannabis extracts.
That's stupid.
Requiring the information on what to do in case of an accidental ingestion or overconsumption to be on all cannabis infused products. Wow. Creating a centralized point of contact for poison control, stamping individual products with THC labels. Well,
I could see the THC label. I cannot see them. They're removing the flavoring agents is absolute stupidity. The reason people like to consume cannabis that way is because they like the flavor, and that's the way they like to consume it. If you remove that, you're going to remove a percentage of the population that wants that product.
yeah, and they'll end up going somewhere else to get it.
Yep.
Now, the required information what to do in case of accidental ingestion, that could take up a lot of information.
Yeah.
So creating a centralized point where people could contact sounds to better.
It does, for sure.
Than trying to get like there would be no like the packaging. People are complaining about the packaging now. You just imagine adding all some of the stuff, like, you know.
So, some of these things make sense to me. You know,
And some don't.
it
Yeah,
shouldn't be exactly the same as familiar candies that the kids eat. You know, I understand that, but some of this is just foolish.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you won't like the next one. Read the next paragraph.
OPH also wants to limit on maximum levels of Delta-9 THC that is allowed in cannabis products to be applied to the total of all intoxicating cannabinoids found in products. OPH notes that there are more than 100 cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. Presenting the total intoxicating content on a label informs the consumer of the potency of a cannabis product. The recommendations state, adding that higher potency cannabis products have been associated with increased risk of harm.
Yeah, so they want to cap that. Caps are never good. A study by a team led by Dr. Daniel Myran, a family physician, public health and preventative medicine specialist, and postdoctoral fellow at the Ottawa Hospital and University of Ottawa Department of Family Medicine, found that Ontario had 9 times more emergency department visits per month for cannabis poisoning in children under 10 after Canada legalized recreational cannabis, and this was in a report back in 2022.
We saw more frequent and severe ED visits due to cannabis poisoning in children under 10 following the legalization of cannabis, and the legalization of edible cannabis products appears to be a key factor, Myron said at the time. During a second period of legalization in Canada, when edibles were legalized, hospitalizations for cannabis poisonings in provinces that allow the sale of edibles was 7.5 times as high as before legislation. In Quebec, which banned the sale of cannabis-based candy, hospitalizations were 3 times as high as before legalization.
There's more product out there. It's available. There's people who are getting new into the system, and unresponsible adults.
I think this is an educational thing, you know, to teach people before things like this happen.
Mm-hmm. They say that OPH said experiences in Colorado and Washington State, which also saw increases in edible-related cannabis overdoses and increased emergency room visits, are instructive. Similar to OPH recommendations, Colorado banned the words candy or candies and limited the amount of THC per single edible serving to 10 milligrams. It also banned the use of shapes that might appeal to children and required the universal THC symbol to be stamped on all edible cannabis products. and Washington State took similar actions. Now, there's one thing on there I think some people would like, and that is limiting the amount of THC single edible servings to 10 milligrams versus to a whole package to 10 milligrams.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you got a chocolate
Yeah.
bar that's got 8 pieces in it, that's 80 milligrams. So we can't do that in Canada.
How does that relate to drinks, though? Because you can't do is an individual serving a liter? You know, I don't know what do they think? Is an individual serving 50 milliliters?
Yeah, true. I don't know. Yeah.
Very strange.
What do you do? They would come up with some figure. You know how they pull those things out of some places. The arbitrary numbers.
You said it very nice. Pull those things out of some places.
There's always an arbitrary number right there, such as the 5 milligrams for the impaired driving end of things.
Yeah, and
5 nanograms. 5 nanograms in your blood. Well, there's no science behind that.
No, and I would fail that every time. And I'm not.
I would too.
I'm not even consuming when I'm driving, so it's that's a weird number to start with. Even that it's legal for them to do that is weird.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next story from MJ Biz Daily. Headline says Nevada eases marijuana consumption lounge rules, issues first licenses.
Nevada regulators this week approved loosening air ventilation standards for cannabis consumption lounges in Las Vegas and other parts of the state, while granting the first 3 conditional licenses for such venues. The Nevada Cannabis Compliance Board, which is the CCB, actions provide more clarity for operators to move forward with construction and design plans, and could make it cheaper and easier for lounges to open their doors in one of the nation's largest tourist markets.
Chris Anderson, president of Salar Consulting, told regulators during a meeting on Tuesday that the changes significantly lower the barrier to entry for consumption lounge operators, while dramatically reducing the upfront investment and ongoing operational energy costs of running these ventilation systems. Sala, a Las Vegas-based government relations and public affairs firm, represents Planet 13, one of the 3 Nevada companies that received a conditional license approvals for consumption lounges.
The other 2 are Common Sense Botanicals of Nevada, operating as the venue, and Soul Cannabis in Washoe Valley between Reno and Carson City in the foothills below Lake Tahoe. Cheyenne Medical in unincorporated Clark County. Despite the issuance of the conditional permits, the widespread launch of dozens of consumption lounges still appears to be months away.
The U.S. Cannabis industry has closely followed developments in Nevada, as consumption lounges represent the next iteration, I can't get the word out, of retail and events, helping fuel nationwide attention given Las Vegas' reputation as a tourist mecca.
Nearly 40 million people visited the city last year. Some lounge operators had hoped to open their doors this summer, but timelines were derailed amid administrative setbacks, funding concerns, and changing regulations. Loosening the air standards.
Yep, the CCB on Tuesday unanimously approved reducing the number of complete air changes per hour in smoking rooms from 30 to 20. That's in line with other similar venues such as hookah bars, cigar lounges, and taverns.
The CCB also lowered air revolutions in non-smoking areas of cannabis consumption lounges to 6 times per hour from 20. Leading up to the meeting, industry executives had raised concerns about the state's consumption lounge regulations, particularly those covering indoor air quality and the related astronomical cost of installing and maintaining air ventilation systems.
The industry suggested changes to air exchange requirements that will enable these new small businesses to operate safely while reducing overburdensome requirements that would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, says Scott Rutledge, partner of Argentine Partners, a government affairs and marketing-based firm in Reno. Those expenditures would render consumption areas economically unfeasible for most operators and nearly impossible for social equity licensees, according to Cannabis Insiders.
And regulators also approved the use of smoke elimination device, bubbed billow, that's designed to allow users to consume cannabis through a small closed-loop filtration system. We are thrilled that the CCB approved language today that allows for innovative technology to be used in consumption lounges as an alternative to expensive HVAC systems, especially where we can protect employees and allow equity businesses to thrive. Billow's inventor, Stanley Lindsay, told MJ Biz Daily after this week's vote.
Now, these smoke elimination devices, that says it allows users to consume cannabis through a small closed loop filtration system. I wonder if it's like that, those smoke buddies.
It kind of sounds like that.
It does. It does. The CCB's approval of the 3 conditional licenses is among the last steps required to open a consumption lounge, but it appears operators are still far from launch. When pressed to lay out Planet 13's vision, a company representative told regulators that plans remain in the concept phase.
When Nevada regulators approved consumption lounges a year ago, they agreed to issue up to 65 licenses. Of those, around 40 to 45 licenses would be attached to existing cannabis shops. Another 20 were expected to go to independent lounges, including 10 for social equity applicants or those with nonviolent cannabis conviction who live in a designated disadvantaged area.
The board this week also signaled it might adopt further changes regarding air quality standards consumption lounges at its July meeting, but those changes are not expected to be major, and see what happens. Keep your fingers crossed. We'll just have to keep an eye on that.
Yep. At least they are opening some.
Yes, exactly.
The birds sound amazing. Right behind you, I guess all the birds around you, they sound amazing.
Oh, do they? Yeah. They're making all kinds of noise. There's no doubt about that. At the nighttime shows, when I do the shows from out here at nighttime, you can hear the frogs and everything. Eh?
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, all kind. Yeah, it's
they're really loud, and I haven't heard a lot of birds up here since I came back.
Oh, and I imagine down in Costa Rica you did.
All constantly, all day, all night.
All day, all night, eh? Oh, exactly. All righty. Well, on to the next story. And this one headline says psilocybin enhanced groups psychotherapy for depression shows promise in patients with cannabis.
A new study suggests that psilocybin-assisted therapy is a promising approach for cancer patients dealing with depressive symptoms. The research, which appears in the Journal of Pain and Symptom Management, provides initial evidence of the safety, feasibility, and possible efficacy of psilocybin-assisted group therapy. Psilocybin is a compound found in certain types of mushrooms, often referred to as magic mushrooms. It belongs to a class of compounds known as classic psychedelics, which also include LSD, DMT, and mescaline. Researchers have been interested in studying psilocybin because it has shown potential in improving depressive and anxiety symptoms associated with a cancer diagnosis. Makes sense.
Previous studies have demonstrated that a single dose administration of psilocybin can lead to rapid and significant improvement in symptoms, with some effects lasting up to several years. However, these studies have mostly been conducted on an individual basis with 1 or 2 therapists present during the session, making it resource intensive and challenging to scale up the treatment. The researchers wanted to explore whether a group format of psilocybin-assisted therapy could be safe, feasible, and effective. They hypothesized that combining the effects of psilocybin with group psychotherapeutic processes could enhance the therapeutic outcomes. The group format seemed particularly suitable for cancer patients, as the experience of illness can be isolating and emotionally challenging.
It sounds perfect for this. There are currently limited treatment options for symptoms of anxiety and depression associated with a cancer diagnosis, serious illness, or end of life. And hence, explains study author Ben Lewis, an assistant professor of psychiatry at Huntsman Mental Health Institute at the University of Utah. There have been promising early results with psilocybin for this indication. However, these studies have employed individual format sessions, which present significant challenges for scalability and access. The study employed a full group model to investigate feasibility, safety, and efficacy. There is also a robust precedent of group therapy with cancer support groups. And so the group model is a natural fit and a promising extension of an emerging set of treatments.
The study, called the HOPE trial, was a single-arm open-label pilot study. It involved 12 participants with symptoms of depression and anxiety associated with the cancer diagnosis. The participants were predominantly male with an average age of 48. The study included 3 120-minute group preparatory sessions, 1 high-dose psilocybin administration session, which was 25 milligrams, in a group setting, and 3 120-minute group integration sessions. The therapists to participate ratio was 1-to-1, with an additional therapist served in a lead role.
Before the psilocybin session, the participants went through preparatory sessions that included group discussions, individual time with therapists, and psychoeducation about the effects of psilocybin. The psilocybin administration session took place in a controlled environment with reclining chairs and a communal music playlist. Therapists provided non-directive and supportive interventions during the session. After the psilocybin session, there were 3 integration sessions focused on participants sharing of experiences, exploring personal narratives, and techniques for integrating the psychedelic experience into their lives. The study also assessed the feasibility, safety, and efficacy of the group format, including recruitment and retention rates, adverse events, and changes in clinical outcomes measured by scales for depression, spiritual well-being, and death transcendence.
The group therapy intervention appeared to be well tolerated and safe. No serious adverse effects attributed to psilocybin were reported. During the psilocybin dosing day, none of the participants required a private room or emergent medications for psychiatric concerns. However, 4 participants did require medication for general medical issues such as nausea, headache, and hypertension. 1 participant experienced nausea and sustained hypertension during the session and had ongoing symptoms the following day, but it was later determined that these symptoms were due to a viral gastritis rather than the effects of the psilocybin.
And there is no significant changes in suicidal ideation or suicidal behavior reported or observed throughout the monitoring period. No adverse events related to medical or psychiatric issues were recorded following the psilocybin session. Symptoms of depression showed a significant decrease in scores at both the 2-week and the 26-week follow-up point compared to the baseline. 6 of the 12 participants met the criteria for remission at 2 weeks. The most participants showed clinically significant or substantial improvements in their depressive symptoms.
Wow, that's good.
Good results.
Yeah, group format psilocybin-assisted psychotherapy may be safe and effective intervention for this population, Lewis says. There may be good reasons to hypothesize that the group model has unique strengths with this kind of treatment. 6 out of the 12 participants reported having a complete mystical experience during the psilocybin session, as measured by the MEQ30 questionnaire. Participants who had a complete mystical experience reported greater decreases in depression scores compared to those who did not have such an experience.
I was surprised at the magnitude of scores on the mystical experience questionnaire, which were higher than typically seen on the psilocybin studies using the dose range, Lewis noted. It is unclear of what extent the group model amplified these effects. However, that is an interesting question for further investigation. The researchers also observed significant improvement in measures of quality of life, spiritual well-being, and death transcendence, which aligns with previous studies using psilocybin therapy for cancer patients.
Wow. This is a long story. Well, I guess we're almost to the end, but I'm looking over here on the side. It looks long on the bar. They said the therapy involved a total of 20 hours per participant, with a reduced number of therapists compared to individual sessions. The researchers said that this reduction in therapists' hours could make it a form of therapy more accessible and cost-effective for patients with limited resources. And while our results are promising, it is important to note that the study was focused on establishing the safety and feasibility of psilocybin-assisted group therapy. Additional placebo-controlled research is needed to assess the effectiveness of the therapy itself.
And this is a small study with a single arm and without a control group, Luce explained. As such, there was a limited ability to control the expectancy effects, which are pronounced for the studies with psychedelics. This limits interpretation of our results, and in certain ways represents a larger set of challenges for the field as a whole. And it's a one-sided study, basically.
That's what they're saying, yeah. Well, I guess it depends on how the results work out. Maybe it depends on what people call it. So,
it sounds like they had some pretty good results.
Yeah, exactly. It does. Well, it's about the hour. We should go for break. Before we run the commercial break, we got a little promo going on here. And this is on the Mom Harvest Fest. I don't know whether you're going to it, Glenn, being that you're, in that neck of the woods.
Where is it and when is it?
Well, here, we'll just run the promo and then we'll go into the commercial break right after that. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All righty. Off we go. Glenn and I'll be right back after our joint session. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com.
Is 420 camping your thing? Do you like cannabis cops? Want to learn more about cannabis? Enjoy music festivals? Living on the East Coast or looking for a really good reason to visit? Then Harvest Fest is calling your name.
Join us the weekend of July 14th to 16th at Fox Mountain Camping Park in the Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia, to meet like-minded people, have your cannabis questions answered, listen to great bands, and have a blast.
Service lots available and camping is included in festival admission. $60 for the weekend or $30 for Friday and $40 for Saturday. Food trucks, hot showers, flush toilets, and accessible washrooms. Rolling contest sponsored by Canadian Lumber Limited, with chances to win a case of rolling papers and more throughout the weekend.
For info about attending or vending, email chair@mumm.ca. Hope to see you there.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you think of the number of unique products developed in the fields, kitchens, and labs at Legacy 420, it's hard to think that one stands out above the rest. But tell that to the thousands of people who have tried this amazing breakthrough product.
This is our Sacred Salve. This is actually our extra strength. It comes in 5 different strengths. It's all natural, all organic. It typically works within 10 to 15 minutes of putting it on. It's good for arthritis, it's good for inflammation, any kind of pain. We're very proud of it.
Sacred Salve, so easy to apply, along with soothing relief. To select a strength that's right for you, come in and talk to your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Pace Radio Network. By patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com.
Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education. Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Hey, we're back from our medication session. Well, actually, I still got my joint going. Yeah, and we got 5 more stories for you. I don't know if we'll get them all covered, Glenn, but we'll do our best, right?
We'll try.
All right, first up, MJ Biz Daily. Colombian Senate falls short in bid to legalize recreational cannabis for now.
And Colombia's Senate failed to approve a legal framework to regulate recreational cannabis sales, making it the latest country to fall short in a bid to bring illegal cannabis sales into the regulatory fold. The majority of senators actually voted to approve the measure, with 47 in favor and 43 opposed. But the bill's proponents required a minimum of 54 votes to advance the constitutional reform.
Yeah, fuck, eh? Colombia follows Germany, Israel, Mexico, and New Zealand in having announced ambitious recreational cannabis plans, only to ultimately come up short or present significantly scaled back plans for various reasons. Experts have long warned overly optimistic cannabis executives that ending prohibition and regulating the production and sale of cannabis would take years and will vary from country to country.
This comes after Canadian cannabis producers spent and lost billions of dollars building out production capabilities around the world in markets where demand was still likely years or decades away. Despite the close loss in Colombia's Senate, the measure's proponents say they are not giving up. We've taken a giant step. 4 years of putting such a controversial issue at the top of the public agenda of the public debate. Liberal Party Senator Juan Carlos Lozada, who co-wrote the bill, told La Prensa Latina Media, an online news publication.
I don't consider this a defeat, Lozada said. He plans to introduce the measure in the next legislation session, and if the bill introduced in the fall, it will have to go through the same lengthy process. The bill is available at that link. If you go to our Facebook wall, you will see that, and you'll be able to do that. So there you go. So it failed there in Colombia, but hopefully, as I said, they're going to bring it right back in the next session, and hopefully that they can get it to pass next time.
I can't believe they had 43 people that voted against it.
Yeah, I know, eh? I know. Oh, there's my puppy. She's out. All right. On to the next story. This one here comes to us from the Marijuana Moment. Biden review must deschedule and not merely reschedule marijuana to resolve state-federal conflicts. This is opinion editorial, and I agree with that end of things.
Yes, definitely. Since California legalized the use of cannabis for medical purposes in 1996, and we're going from 96 to now, we're getting close to 30 years ago.
Yeah.
There has existed a growing chasm between state-level cannabis policies and federal law. Today, the majority of states and the District of Columbia authorize the state licensed production and sale of cannabis to qualifying patients. 23 of these states also regulate the possession and use of cannabis by adults.
Nevertheless, under the U.S. Controlled Substances Act of the 1970, the cannabis plant is classified as a prohibited controlled substance. The CSA exists to establish a unified legal framework in all 50 states for the regulation of certain substances deemed by federal agencies to pose varying degrees of abuse potential. For decades, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration has been designated as the agency responsible for implementing and enforcing the CSA, while the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is designated with determining substances' medical efficacy.
Since Congress's enactment of the CSA, cannabis has been placed in the classification of Schedule 1, the most restrictive category available under the law. And by definition, substances in this category must meet 3 specific inclusion criteria.
The substance must possess a high potential for abuse. Number 2, it must have no currently accepted medical use in the United States. And 3, the substance must lack accepted safety for use under medical supervision.
Okay, so number 2 is instantly BS, and that is one of the laws to keep this in Schedule 1. So I don't understand why it's in Schedule 1.
Especially when like 42 or 45 states have legalized medical cannabis.
Yeah, and around the world,
that's an overwhelming majority of citizens of the country.
Yeah, and it says no currently accepted medical use. So if most of the states accept it for medical use, then this is BS.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Substances that do not meet these criteria are categorized as less restrictive federal classifications, Schedule 2 through 5. Historically, these categories have been reserved for prescription medications that possess FDA market approval. This is why substances placed in these lower classifications are only legally available from licensed pharmacies, and they are uniformly regulated by federal laws and agencies. Alcohol and tobacco, 2 substances acknowledged to possess far greater dangers to health than cannabis, have never been classified under the CSA. Under-the-counter cold medicines generally are not either. Neither are dietary supplements. This is why state governments possess greater flexibility to regulate the production and sale of these products.
Paul always writes great opinion editorials. With respect to alcoholic beverages, for instance, states are the primary decision makers regarding who sells these products, and where they may be sold, and what types of products are and not permissible that are allowed, and which products are not permissible. By contrast, states possess no such flexibility when it comes to regulating scheduled prescription substances like OxyContin, diazepam, or Carisproto. Never heard of that last one. Since 1972, the DEA has reviewed and ruled upon 4 separate petitions seeking to either deschedule or reschedule cannabis. The last time they did so was in 2016. And in every instance, the agency, which has the final say on such matters, has decided to keep the cannabis plant classified as Schedule 1. On the occasion, the agency even overruled the decisions from its own administrative law judge to do so. And I remember that. Yes.
Okay, so why hasn't the president replaced these people that are responsible for these decisions? You know, if you're pro cannabis and you believe it has medical use, why don't you fire all these assholes? All these asses, and have them change that decision, because it makes no sense.
That really makes no sense. They've got to change it. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt.
In recent months, there have been growing discussions regarding when the agency may once again rule on the matter of cannabis scheduling and what they will recommend. Some have suggested that the agency may call for the rescheduling of cannabis to lower classification and maybe to Schedule 3. They have opined that doing so would address many of the existing conflicts stemming from federal prohibition. Such optimism is likely misplaced. So if cannabis is less dangerous than alcohol, and alcohol is not scheduled at all, why is cannabis even being talked about moving up the schedule instead of just being removed from it?
And the thing is, maybe they don't consider alcohol a drug. I don't know. I know a lot of other people who do, but yeah, good question.
I know a lot of people who don't exist anymore because of alcohol. I don't know anybody who doesn't exist anymore because of cannabis.
Great line. Great line. Specifically, reclassifying cannabis to a lower schedule within CSA continues to misrepresent the plant's safety relative to other controlled substances such as cocaine and methamphetamine, which are Schedule 2s, anabolic steroids, which are Schedule 3, Bizidapine, which is Schedule 4, and I know of a patient right now who's dealing
I'm glad
with
you got that
withdrawal
one.
systems from that, yeah. Or alcohol, as you said, is unscheduled. But more importantly, rescheduling cannabis fails to provide states with an explicit legal authority to regulate it within their borders, free
Yep.
from federal interference.
Yep.
Yeah.
Simply put, federally rescheduling cannabis does nothing to address the growing and untenable divide between state and federal cannabis laws. Following the rescheduling, state laws authorizing citizens to possess cannabis for either medical or social purposes would continue to be in violation of the federal law, as would be the thousands of state licensed operators who currently serve these markets. The DEA will still possess the same authority it has now to crack down on these state regulated markets, should it elect to do so.
Some have suggested the rescheduling the cannabis plant would provide greater opportunities for investigators to conduct clinical research, but this result is also unlikely. That is because many of the existing hurdles to clinical cannabis research, such as the limits placed upon scientists' access to source material, are marijuana-specific regulations and predate cannabis Schedule 1 classification. Other impediments, such as requiring the U.S. Attorney General to approve marijuana-specific research protocols, are statutory and are not specific to marijuana scheduling in the CSA. For these reasons, I believe the only productive outcome of the current scheduling review would be recommendation to deschedule cannabis, thereby removing it from the CSA altogether and providing states with greater discretion to establish their own distinct cannabis policies. As a point in 2018, Congress moved to the CSA on hemp for the Farm Ban bill. And as they say, alcohol is not scheduled. So that would be a big jump for them to do, but that's what needs to be done.
It has to be done, and I'm actually surprised that the courts have not ordered this already. It makes no sense what they're doing. It has made no sense in the last 30 years or 40 years. Making this change would remove the threat of undue federal intrusion in existing state cannabis programs and would respect America's longstanding federalist principles, allowing states to serve as laboratories of democracy. By contrast, rescheduling simply perpetuates the existing contradictions between state and federal cannabis laws, and it fails to provide any necessary legal recognition in the eyes of the federal government to either the state licensed cannabis industry or those adults who use the plant responsibly in compliance with state laws.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bang on. Bang on.
Well-written article.
Very, very good. Very good. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. That's for sure. All right. And let's hope there's somebody out there that's listening to him. So that needs to happen. Oh, I'm getting a live studio audience. All right. On to the next story. This one comes to us from Stratcan. The headline on it says Kootenai Cannabis and Music Festival enters its sixth year. There you go.
Folks wanting to enjoy a slice of the vibrant Kootenai cannabis culture, a few days of camping in the woods, and an array of eclectic electronic and acoustic music will gather once again at the Unicorn Music Festival, formerly known as Unicorn Cup, located near Salamo, BC. Now, in its sixth year, this summer event takes place August 11th to 14th as it continues to establish itself as a popular gathering in the region.
Campers will enjoy 3 days and 3 nights of music, cannabis, and community immersed within several hundred acres of BC woodland beside beautiful Rosebud Lake, where there are electric and acoustic music stages, including one floating on the lake. Campers will also get to explore new immersive camps experience and a dedicated holistic stage for activities such as yoga, sound healing, wellness talks, and various interactive workshops. Geez, Glenn, you're on the other end of the country, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the wrong spot right now. The festival features the Rosebud Bowl, a cannabis comparison where VIPs or VIUs, who's very important unicorns, have access to a few extra features, including a kit containing educational cannabis materials and an assessment guide. Shay LeBlanc, one of the founders of the event, a local cannabis grower whose farm, Rosebud Cannabis Farms, is adjacent to the festival, says the event has been steadily growing in size. Around 350 people attended last year's gathering, and he expects about twice as many this year.
Oh, good. He and his team are taking a slow and steady approach to the festival, long-term vision of expanding to something that can serve several thousand annual attendees. LeBlanc says, we're only going to grow as quickly as we can maintain respect for the land and the environment. That's really a cornerstone of this event, taking care of and working in harmony with the people and the land that support us.
With Rosebud, with Rosebud Farms located right next to the festival grounds, his long-term goal includes integrating farm tours and cannabis sales once provincial laws allow it. I'd love to give tours of the regenerative farm as part of the event, he continues. We would love to be able to sell cannabis on site. That would be a great step in the right direction. Adding that he has heard the province is beginning to look at these rule changes and hopes to hear more soon.
Well, I have no problems with cannabis tents. We got beer tents, right?
Yep.
Yeah. My audience here agrees. Yeah. He goes on here. He attributes the festival's rapid growth to the strength and unique flavor of the Kootenai community. He says there is something for everybody. A lot of the cannabis community is here, a lot of the bud tenders, a lot of the brands, but it's also a beautiful music and camping festival at the same time. I think that's part of the reason we're getting the attention we're getting. It's quite unique to incorporate all this together, the arts, performance, camping, and cannabis. And Glenn, you're a musician. You like to play music, so I can see how this story grabbed you, like they said.
Yeah, I would love to attend this. I think it'd be a blast. And I like the fact that it's only a few hundred people instead of thousands of people, you know?
There you go, yeah. And here comes the price. The Unicorn Music Festival offers tickets priced at $220, which includes camping and full access to the 3-day festival along with 3-night camping experience. It's important to note that the camping follows a pack in, pack out, leave, no trace policy. Pack in and pack out. So what you bring in, you take back out. Everything.
Those who purchase a very important unicorn ticket at $420 will have full access to the event, the privilege of car camping, and the opportunity to engage in a meet and greet with keynote speakers. Additionally, the ticket encompasses a welcome package complete with directions for participation in the Rosebud Bowl, educational cannabis reference materials, and an official link to the online assessment guide. The event's 18+, and no alcohol or pets are allowed.
Oh, no pets, eh? I think that's too bad, but some events have their reasoning. We got the time there. Okay, 53. I got to move around a little bit so I can see things because of the glare, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. And just passing the joint. Okay. No, but part of the problem is when I put that up, then I come silhouette to the darkness behind me. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'll get the next story up here. Here we go. Okay, good stuff. All right. I guessed where I was hitting right buttons. There we go. Wisconsin Supreme Court. Cannabis odor enough to justify vehicle search. Wow.
This is a common thing for police to use to search your car.
And that's why there's some places this law doesn't exist.
This law should never exist because any cop can come up to you and say, "Oh, I smell it, I'm searching," period. And you have no say in the matter, and it's all BS. And I'm not saying that, sometimes it doesn't smell like cannabis, but I'm saying this is used as an excuse, period.
It can be, yeah. No doubt about it.
Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled 4-3 that the odor of cannabis alone is enough to justify police searches of vehicles, despite the fact that it's a legal substance in the state, like hemp, can smell exactly the same. It was Wisconsin Supreme Court on Tuesday ruled 4-3, the odor of cannabis, same thing. The decision overturns lower court rulings that said police officers could not be sure what they smelled was not a CBD product, and therefore could not use the odor of cannabis as a reason to search a vehicle. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah. Wisconsin has not legalized cannabis for adult use, and the ruling focused on the case of Quaheen Moore, who in 2019 was pulled over alone for speeding. An officer searched the vehicle he was driving based on the odor of cannabis. Moore told the officers he was using a CBD vape pen and that the car was a rental that belonged to his brother. Police did not smell cannabis on Moore, but upon searching him, found cocaine and fentanyl. A circuit court judge and an appeals court had previously moved to disqualify the drugs that police found, saying the search wasn't legal because the cannabis odor was no justification for the search. Okay, now I see where they're coming from.
Justice Brian Hedgedorn, who issued Tuesday's opinion on behalf of the court's conservative majority, which disagreed with the lower courts, wrote that because Moore was the only person in the car, police could reasonably assume that he was probably connected with the illegal substance the officers identified. But they didn't identify the illegal substance because they didn't find the illegal substance, which makes this BS.
Yeah. Now, just so you know, Glenn, unfortunately, due to time restraints, we're pretty close to. We won't be able to finish this article. But for people who are in Wisconsin, just take note that your cannabis smell, whether you've consumed or not, right? You could just have it in your vehicle because you're going camping.
You have it in your hair or whatever.
Right. That could happen to you.
Or you're using a CBD vape pen.
Exactly. All righty. Well, other than that, got anything you want to say before we depart?
Peace.
All right. Sounds good. Well, that's our Pace News report for June the 22nd from the Legacy420.com news desk and our buds at the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, as well as Limestone City Hydroponics. In closing, we'd like to say thank you for watching and listening. Plus, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.